I just want women to know that there is life after abuse. That's all I want. I feel like God has brought me to this place and healed me through some really awful, horrible circumstances, and not just healed me, but healed me to where when I wake up in the morning, I really am expecting joy in the day. And that's something I never thought would have been possible. So that's what I want to share. I was about 10 when my father, he had begun sexually abusing me, but it was just kind of a little bit here and there. And I was about 10 whenever he really got bad in his behavior. And on my 11th birthday, that's when the rapes began. And I had another reason why I believe that God is real and that he's here is because he sent me to camp, a church camp, before the rapes began. I believe that he inserted himself into my life so that I could get through that. The first morning that I woke up in camp, in the cabin, with all, there's like 6 or 7 other girls around, I woke up and I just had this real peace, knowing that everybody in my life who was horrible to me was so far away. They weren't there. It was so crazy. I remember just thinking how easy it was, just how comfortable those moments were. And if I could encourage anybody who ever would think about sponsoring a stranger to go to camp, I would say for them, thank you. Because you have no idea whoever gave that gift to me, they don't know me, they don't know what I was coming from, but they gave me 1 week of peace. And I appreciate that. So what that experience did was showed me that there was a different life other than the life that I was living at home. And I think that sparked a determination that one day things could be better. One thing that my father would do that really frustrates me, and I really want to speak to women on this because it took me years and years to get to this point. My father would always tell me the only way I would make any headway in this world was by using my physical appearance. And that's so rotten. That's such a trick of Satan because, God creates us, and this is my form, and this is the form that God gave me, and I will be comfortable in this form. And for my father to try to manipulate that and say that's all that you will ever be, I'm not insecure. I don't feel like I'm a 10, but I'm not insecure about the way I feel. I'm comfortable, but it's taken a long time because every scar he would put on my body, he would say, well, you're less now. And I'm not less now. I was never less to begin with. And it was just so frustrating because the world we live in looks first at appearance. It just does. Not everybody, but it's kind of the overall theme. And it took a very long time for me to be able to look at myself in the mirror and say, there's so much more to me than what I see on this outside. But this is the form that God gave me, and I'm going to be comfortable in it. And I want to look like a girl. And I want to, I met a boy and I got pregnant and I was 14 years old. And my mother, her initial reaction was for me to have an abortion. And honestly, I didn't know what to do. I was just kind of in shock. I just was, I don't think I could really figure much out in my brain. My whole life had been about survival. It really had been about day-to-day survival. And then I moved in with my mother, and it was just about day-to-day, please don't let my father show up. It was just really, that's just how it was. And so when I got pregnant with Emma's my oldest daughter, I just felt like there was something new, and I just focused on that. There was something new and different, and it reminded me of the time that I was at camp. It reminded me that there was something other in the world than all of the things that I had known. And so my heart just decided that Emma was new, that my baby was new, and I was going to keep her, and I was going to protect her, and I was going to be her mother. And it is a bit ridiculous. I was 14 years old. It's everything about her was good. She was just brand new and innocent and tiny and just beautiful, and she was mine. In the scripture, when God says that we belong to him, I understand that when I think about how I felt when I held Emma that first time, because she was mine and I would have done anything to protect her. I just wanted her to know that I loved her, and I wanted her life to be different. When Emma was born, that's the moment that I realized that all of their abuse, all of my parents' abuse, it was not my fault. Because how could it have been my fault? I was born the same way that Emma was born. I was that defenseless and helpless. My whole world revolved around what those people, how they would care for me. And it just made perfect sense. When you're growing up, when you live a life of abuse, everything is your fault. You think everything is your fault. People are so self-centered by nature anyway, especially children, especially teenagers. You just think there must be something I did. And my father would always say, it's because you look this way, and my mother she would say, it's because you're so annoying. And, just self-identity is just really shattered when you're abused. And so when I was holding Emma that first time and I just loved her beyond comprehension, I just knew it wasn't my fault. And so whenever I talk to women who've been abused, I just keep wanting to shake them and say, don't you know it's not your fault? I decided to go see this counselor at the local church in my community because I found out she was a nurse, and I had a question that had been burning in my mind since I was a small child, and I just wanted her to lay it to rest because I felt, she has medical expertise. She should know everything. So my father was a drug addict. It was terrible, and he would sell acid on candy, and I had eaten a piece of that candy when I was about 5 years old, and I remembered that experience, and I thought forever that maybe I was crazy, or maybe there was something wrong with me because I didn't, how would I know? Anyway, so I kind of had that in the back of my mind. Well, maybe that's why I didn't do well in school. No, it couldn't be all the abuse, but maybe anyway. So I just wanted that laid to rest, and I used that as in myself the excuse why I would go and talk with her. And so we started talking about the abuse and started talking about everything, and she invited me to go to a Bible study, and I went to the Bible study, and what I was hearing through Scripture and through women that tell their stories, it's a good thing you're doing here, because if I hadn't heard somebody stand up at the end of that first Bible study and say, I've been through a really hard time, because the whole time that I was there doing the Bible study watching her, she was just a normal, beautiful person. I couldn't even imagine she had been through anything hard. And she stood up and told her story about, what she had suffered through and the struggles and all of that. And she became a real person to me, a person I could relate to, a person that pulled me out of invisibility. Sometimes we think when we want to minister that we have to do some grand thing. And it's just being who you are in your everyday life, in your faith. She was praying in her faith and openly speaking about her love for God, and she had no idea that I was sitting in the second row in the back, listening to her every word and wondering if this was possible. It's just be who you are, and be bold enough to show people where it came from. If you're strong and confident and comfortable with who you are and compassionate towards people, be bold enough to say it comes from my faith in my Father. Anyway, it was simple for her, but it was mystifying to me. I can't imagine how different my life would have been if whenever I first came out of the abuse, if there was somebody there that encouraged me. I can't imagine. It could have saved me so many years of heartache, maybe. I don't know, I'll never know. Nobody tried. So, I don't know.
But now you are.
But now I am. My name is Tamara, and I have a voice.